When winter has taken spring's final flower, when its life becomes ugly and cold, when death comes upon me like an eviction notice, leaving my soul without a home, I'll be sure to haunt your kitchen cabinets with a touch of that graveyard magic. When the crickets and cicada both sing just for me, and the owls all bow with respect, when death goes a-prowling like a wolf through the forest and finds his way to the front steps, I will be knocking around in your attic. Death can't conquer this graveyard magic. When the crows have lined up across the fence in the yard, and the bones of winter's trees all shake with fear, as death goes a-howling like an all-coming train, headed west to that final frontier, our love girl is strange and dogmatic, chock full of that chalky graveyard magic. My body gets as light as air, blood trails from the yard up the stairs, and I close my eyes to see you there. I miss you all the best that I can. The spirit pulls for unloveless, sprouts wings as I onward press, and hey girl, as you might have guessed, I'll be that angel singing to you from the band.
It's always true that everything is alright. You never would all my stuff, 'cause I don't know what I am waiting for. And you don't know that I will be like I'm already on my way. It's always late, I'm always late to the party. You never wanna be like that. And everything is something you always see the world from my point of view, but I don't know if it's right. But I'm not sure. Because I am already on my way.
All right. Enough of that crazy music.
I like the music.
Me too.
I like the music.
Me
I
too.
think we've got a pretty decent intro discography going here.
I gotta change it up a little bit more and add a few more tunes to it now. So.
Yeah, probably. But welcome in, everyone. This is Rob, the host of the Update Log, and with me, as usual, are Matt and Greg, my co-hosts. This is episode 38 of the Update Log, and today we're gonna dive into Microsoft, Xbox, and perhaps they're relinquishing at least a little bit their iron grip on their exclusivity piece with regards to the Xbox exclusive games that has, I mean, pretty much been prevalent for as long as I can remember. I think since the whole console war began.
What you mean? Xbox, Microsoft is like giving something away?
Maybe.
Hmm.
I mean, we might not like what they're giving away, but
Are
maybe
you sure that Bill Gates can afford that? You do
He's
realize
barely scraping by.
well,
he's struggling to make them bills, man. I know.
Yeah, I know.
That house, his high tech house that talks to him
like
and checks in with him.
2 weeks ago, market cap wise, Microsoft knocked Apple out of first place and is now the most valuable company in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't
know
know if it stayed that way, but yeah, they did. They unthroned Apple for a while. I don't know if they're still there, but
that's impressive. Because Apple, pretty sure Apple was sitting at the top spot for quite a while.
I mean, Apple's a giant in their own right. So
yeah.
I mean, they're not a gaming giant.
Sorry,
games on a Mac.
I mean, Apple is pretty much the king of the like mobile gaming market because their iOS store is like that's massive. Yeah. So they do have a rather large footprint in the gaming world.
I mean, are we really going to consider mobile gaming as really gaming? Really?
I think you have to. I mean, it's it's such.
Remember, it's as a lot of people refer to mobile gaming, it's toilet gaming. Just pull it out and do a little bit while you're just sitting on the toilet. It may not be the gaming you or I prefer, but it is gaming nonetheless.
Third-party stores on iOS, really? Huh. That is a surprising turn of events. I think, Greg, you were correct. I think that bubble has popped and everyone is potentially realizing kind of hoarding everything to themselves is probably not the best idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, this actually kind of goes in line what we've been hearing about. The lawsuit by Epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big part of it because that was Epic's like entire reasoning for suing Apple. Well,
No,
Epic had
that's
their own
part of it.
particular way of going about it. If I remember, they intentionally broke terms of service
Yes.
with Apple and launched an entire like public campaign. The second Apple came after them for a breach of contract, it was a whole mess.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you're good, old man, Garrus. We always appreciate you coming in here and shedding some wisdom because we can't always be looking up everything. So it's always nice to see people in our community kind of saying, "Hey, check this out." And guys, for those of you who are not joined, have not joined our Discord, please feel free. I encourage you to do so. That way, you can kind of keep up to date with us directly, and you can do what old man Garrus does and drop some interesting tidbits of the technology / gaming industry that we might miss. Because not to get too off topic.
Wait, we miss things.
We always miss things. There's only but so many hours in a day.
Somebody once told me even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. So
this is true.
Yeah. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. But the EU definitely is not a fan of monopolies. Not like we are here in the US. I'm looking at you, Microsoft, Amazon. So despite the laws and what's on the books, monopolies being illegal here in the States, call a spade a spade.
Yeah. But I mean, getting onto that bit about the when it comes to like Microsoft, some interesting news coming from Microsoft and Xbox lately, where they seem, and you can expand upon this a bit more, Rob, because I think you looked into it a bit more than I have. Is it just talks, or they have officially kind of like confirmed that they're going to release a couple of their IPs from Xbox exclusivity?
Well, it's some of their older IPs.
Stuff like
Gears Indiana of War, Jones. Gears of War. Gears of War is on the docket to be released to PS5 sometime in 2024. The one that surprised me most importantly, Starfield game just came out, and they're already thinking, hey, let's put this up on the PlayStation Store, the PlayStation Network. I don't know what. I haven't played a console in God knows how long, surprisingly enough, ever since switching to PC gaming. But I think it's called PlayStation Network. Is their ecosystem.
Yeah, and Garrus, you are correct. Limited time exclusives are a normal thing.
Yes, they're basically the way they're going about it, at least from the rumor mill, is the limited time exclusives will remain, but after that, period, games will be released on the PlayStation Network. With regards to Starfield, that is set to come sometime this year. Basically, they're timing the release of Starfield to the PlayStation Network with the release of their the expansion, which is actually coming out sometime this year, supposedly. It's called Shattered Space, I believe. Yeah, Shattered Space, set to come out. There's no solid date, but the tentative time period is sometime in 2024. I'm going to hedge a bet and say it's probably going to be sometime end of the year, fall, probably into the holidays, maybe, hit the holiday, crowd. Well, with a twofer. You get the expansion and the base game released, on PlayStation.
Yeah, right now is the perfect time for all these companies to start spreading their wings a little bit and opening up on those IPs and expanding the reach, because you look at what's going on in the industry, which we're going to talk about here, but you look at what's going on in the amount of contraction in the industry. So there's not a large amount of new product As a matter of fact, a lot of projects have been either canceled or just put on hold indefinitely.
Yeah.
But so it's a perfect time to push the existing products out into the market further than where they're at right now. And, try to increase your market share. I mean,
and I think, I mean, if we're gonna talk about like objectively speaking, I mean, I guess not for everyone, but like all exclusivity does is just it promotes the console sales,
which didn't go so well for Microsoft.
Yes, and this is probably one of the reasons why they're looking to release some of these IPs onto other consoles, because this latest generation of console wars.
Wow, here we go. Right into this tonight. Oops. I put you in the wrong spot. There you are.
All right, we back?
We are back. We are back. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, so one of you is back. Hold on. Go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying, PlayStation won this generation's console war, like with pretty much a landslide. Because the PlayStation essentially, PlayStation 5 pretty much outsold the Xbox Series X 3-1.
And S too, I think.
Yeah,
it was both of them.
Yeah, both of those models. PS5 outsold them 3-1, which is pretty damn big. Like that's, PlayStation 5 swept the market in that regard. So I'd say that's likely why Xbox might be sweating a little and looking to release some of their games out onto other consoles. It's a similar tale to how Sega went.
Yeah.
For anyone younger in the audience, Sega used to make their own consoles. There's the Sega Genesis, Sega Saturn?
Sega Saturn. I actually had both of those. I had a Sega Genesis and I had a Sega Saturn. I don't know how I got Sega Genesis Saturn. That was the handheld for those who are old enough to remember. I think my dad at one point got me the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, but sadly, Sega's consoles.
And the Sega Dreamcast.
Yeah, the Dreamcast too. It was sadly the Sega consoles did not survive the console war, and Sega eventually started releasing their games on other consoles, and well, now you see Sega no longer makes their own consoles. So we're kind of seeing a bit of history repeating itself here with Xbox doing the same thing. Will they fully give out on the console market? Too early to say that for sure, but at least this generation of console wars, Sony definitely won that one.
Yeah, I don't foresee Microsoft Xbox giving up on the Xbox. I mean, the Xbox is iconic. It's as iconic as the PlayStation, as iconic as the Nintendo. It's a mainstay. I don't think it's going anywhere. But the problem is, and I think this kind of circles back to the 1,900 employees that were let go from Xbox, from basically Microsoft's gaming division. Basically, it was across Xbox, Blizzard Activision, ZeniMax, which is the umbrella company for Bethesda. Across the board, it was about 1,900 employees have gotten let go or in the process of being let go. And the problem, or rather the reason for that, has to do with Xbox, Microsoft/Xbox, hinging a lot of their profits and profitability in that division on the Xbox Pass. They were trying to make the Xbox Game Pass this huge thing that's just not going the way it planned. Basically, and it circles into the exclusivity piece where they were trying to release a lot of Xbox exclusives to sell more consoles. And as Matt was saying, I mean, I think the numbers we looked them up, today was the Xbox Series X and S, so 2 different variants, sold collectively in the last year. And anyone who knows exactly can correct me if I'm wrong. 7.6 million units, whereas the PS5, which is just one edition, in the last year sold 22 million plus in terms of revenue. So again, 3 to 1.
The Xbox S. That is the Series S, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
The Series S, is that just the version of X but with no disk drive? Because I'll be honest, I get a little confused with Xbox's current naming convention. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I honestly, I stopped paying attention when they start throwing different versions. I'm like, look, just give me something I can play the damn game on.
Look, just keep it simple, like PlayStation. You have the PlayStation 1, original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PS3, PS4. So simple.
PS5. That's it. They don't.
Yes, exactly. Why can't they keep it as simple as that?
It's like the car models. You know, you got the S series, the X series, the L series. I'm like, just give me one.
Yeah.
You just wheel, an engine, 4 doors, 4 wheels. That's it.
Just a basic ass car. That's all I want.
Yeah. But honestly, I think the more things that get released from exclusivity, the better. Because as I said before, all exclusivity does is promote the console sales. It does not promote the sale of the game itself, because you're limiting where it can even be. And it doesn't help us as consumers when we essentially have less accessibility for that game because it's only found in one place.
Mm-hmm.
So I think overall that is a good thing. Like, I mean, let's look back at Sony's Marvel Spider-Man 2 and how, despite the millions it sold, Sony wasn't happy with its profits because they pumped so much into the budget. But I mean, part of me wants to think, what would have happened if it wasn't PlayStation exclusive and that they opened that up to the rest of the market? How many more sales would they have gotten? And would the game then have been a financial success if they did that? Granted, when you put your game on someone else's console, they're going to take a cut of those profits. You know, like Microsoft would be taking a cut of those profits if they sold Spider-Man on the Xbox. But there's still some profits there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I feel like, especially when you're pumping that much money into a game, I feel like it's a little shooting yourself into the foot to limit where you're even going to be selling that game.
So here's some economic drivers for you real quick. What does if you went out right now and you bought a PS5, what does that cost?
That is a good question. Let me Google that real quick. I'm seeing things between like $450 to $500.
Okay, how about Xbox? What does that cost?
Xbox Series X. Let's see. Actually, it looks. I'm finding some that I see like under 400. So it looks like the Xbox Series X might be a little cheaper.
Okay. Well, here's the data piece to this. For 2023, household spending, the average household spending on electronics is $325. So both of those game systems are priced too high for the average household. That gives you, that's a piece right there. I mean, if people are not going to buy the machines, then you've got to make money on something. So you sell the software, one way or the other.
That is a fair point. My thing though is, at least from my research, and again, this is an ever evolving thing, so I could have missed something. So I will admit that we've heard nothing from Sony PlayStation about it. There hasn't been really any response from Sony PlayStation about this potential kind of cross collaboration, because that's what it would take, is for Sony to be like, yeah, okay, sure, we can cross collaborate. Because here's the thing, you can bet your ass if Xbox plans to sell Xbox exclusive stuff on PlayStation Network and for the PlayStation console, Sony PlayStation is going to want the same. Help me out here. What word am I looking for?
Well, the same deal, reciprocation.
Maybe.
Maybe.
There we go. The same reciprocation.
Maybe. I'm not sure on that one, to be quite honest with you, because Nintendo has they have always been.
You mean PlayStation?
I'm sorry. Yeah, PlayStation. Yeah. Well, maybe. Maybe. I just. It depends on how protective they actually are of those IPs.
True.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The way I see it right now, Sony, like, they're winning the console war. Like, they're beating Xbox by a pretty wide margin. So I don't think they're sweating as much to the point where they feel that much need to put out their exclusives onto Xbox, because they hold, market superiority right now compared to Xbox. Yeah. Do I wish that they would put their exclusives out into other platforms? Of course, that does nothing but good things for us consumers. But I don't think they're looking to do that right now. As much as it's funny, because the entire reason Sony got the FTC to try to block Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard
is to avoid this.
Well, it was to try to prevent Microsoft from turning things like Call of Duty into an Xbox exclusive. Because, of course, Call of Duty is a massive franchise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, at the end of the day, Microsoft did end up acquiring Activision Blizzard, but they've made multiple statements saying that they don't plan on making Call of Duty a console exclusive. And I think that's smart on their part, because, again, it's such a massive franchise that if they cut off the rest of the market, they'd be making a lot less money from Call of Duty if they did that.
Yeah, no reason to cut off your nose to spite your face in that sense. For sure.
Exactly. And so that's like, I wish. I know it's only circumstances that's kind of brought Xbox to be releasing some of their things from exclusivity, but I kind of wish more. Like, I kind of wish that was a more prevalent mindset of being like, I want to sell as much of the games as possible, so I'm gonna put it out on everywhere I can. Let the console stand on its own technology.
Yeah,
because like the Xbox Series X and PS5, they are good pieces of technology. And,
they are.
Grimwolf, and that's the point I was making a little earlier. That's all exclusivity does. It sells consoles, but does not sell games.
Yep. And the ironic part is this whole exclusivity thing. Okay, granted, Sony PlayStation did sell more PS5s in the last year, and I think overall, than the Xbox Series X and S did, in its run. So Sony, like we said, PlayStation has been beating out Xbox, but again, and this is something that occurred to me a long time ago. Why are you going to limit the player base to like your access to players for them to buy your console? If it were me from the get-go, I would have been like, hey, yeah, we'll have. I honestly, if it were me, and again, I can only speak with limited understanding of the situation because I'm not, Phil Spencer or any of those guys, but I would have started with the limited time exclusives. That would have been my whole bit. Start with limited time exclusives for the Xbox, and then after 6 months, you open it to the PlayStation Network, hell, even Nintendo's ecosystem, if they want to get in on that. You reach a much broader audience, and yeah, okay, they don't buy the Xbox, but they're still buying your games.
Yeah.
I.e., you're still making money. Like it's a lower barrier to entry for people to buy you, to consume your goods and pay you. Obviously, yeah, you're not getting 100% of the profits because you're obviously you're gonna have to cut out a piece to Nintendo or PlayStation, using their ecosystem, but you're still making money. Whereas if me as a consumer, I got to go drop $300-$400, I would say $500, the console, 2 controllers, and then however much you pay for the Game Pass, as opposed to just paying $60-$70 for a game on a console I already have. I know which one I would go with. Just put it that way.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to Nintendo, they're an odd spot in the console wars because Sony and Microsoft are essentially trying to make the Xbox and the PlayStation the same thing. They are very much competing in the same exact field. Meanwhile, you have Nintendo over off to the side. They're just kind of doing their own thing with their consoles. They haven't been trying to make the most powerful, ultra mega gaming machine that they can possibly make. Their focus is very much elsewhere. And Grimwolfen does point out their consoles are usually cheaper, which that's also a major plus. They're a bit more affordable and more geared towards, I guess, more of a casual audience as opposed to Xbox and PlayStation trying to be for your hardcore sweaty gamers,
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. Nintendo makes, again, their consoles are typically cheaper. I would say their games are more in line with, like you said, a little bit more casual. They're a bit more party style. You have all the Super Mario games. You do have some obviously notable hits like Zelda and all of that whole series, and a couple other stuff. And obviously you have different games released on there, like the Witcher series is on there, and a couple other big names. But to be honest, their games are more geared towards folks just getting together to play and have a good time.
Yeah, they what they want is they want the family in your household gathering around to all kind of play a game together.
Mm-hmm. Whereas PlayStation, Xbox, like you said, Matt, they're more in line with the sweaty players, the tryhards.
Which not trying to say anything about people who enjoy the Xbox or the PlayStation, but they're very much marketing towards different crowds. You don't really see Xbox or PlayStation trying to be gather the whole family and have a good time together. It's always.
Xbox did try it with the Kinect.
Yeah, but the Kinect, nah. It also the interesting bit, because we talked about exclusivity, and of course Nintendo being very protective of their IPs. They don't put out their games on other consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the main things that affords them that luxury is because they have the most legendary IPs in all of gaming.
Yeah.
As much as the current state of Pokemon pains me, which even more highlighted with Pal World's rise to fame. I'll be honest, if the next Pokemon game that comes out, I'll probably get it because it's Pokemon. I love Pokemon. Next Zelda game comes out, I'll probably get it. I fucking love Zelda. These next Animal Crossing, I'll fucking get it. I love Animal Crossing. I love all this shit.
Matt, he's a sweaty gamer. Look at him. He's sweating right now.
Look.
We're not even playing a game.
Listen, I was saying, Nintendo has the most legendary IP, so like they can afford to not have the most powerful console. They can afford to pretty much keep all of those exclusive to their console, not even putting that stuff out on PC.
I still have a hard time taking him seriously. He's still got that mascot.
Yeah,
My boy.
yeah. You, Matt, you just need to put him off to the side, okay?
Never.
The way he's looking at you.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, man.
A little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, and my favorite
will
platform is PC. I am a PlayStation kid at heart. That was, well, my first console was a Nintendo. It was the NES, the original NES. But if I had to say anyone that I really loved, PlayStation 2 was my jam, man. Still, I think to this day, that is still the most bought console ever, was PlayStation 2.
Ever?
I think so, yeah.
I'll have to look that up because I know like overall gaming has become a lot more popular than it was back in those days. I do have fond memories of the PS2 though. Like Star Wars Battlefront, that shit was good.
Oh.
PlayStation 2 was first released in 2000 in response to Sony's hugely popular original PlayStation. The PS2 has become the best-selling video game console of all time. As of May 2023, had sold over 158 million units worldwide.
That's a lot. That's definitely a lot.
You guys are playing musical chairs over there, huh?
You know, good old collab cam.
No, you can't blame collab cam. That was mine.
Oh, okay.
I clicked where I shouldn't have clicked. But yeah, 158 million units sold worldwide as of May 2023.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, no, we were just comparing the sales between Xbox and PlayStation, and I wasn't comparing the Switch because they've always all been doing their own thing.
How's the Switch looking?
This is actually pretty interesting. The Switch has PS5 is actually behind the Switch.
Wow.
Let's see, the PlayStation 5 has sold 52.65 million units in 38 months. So I guess like the past 38 months. While the Nintendo Switch sold 56.4 million units. So it's not a huge lead, but it is a lead nonetheless.
I'm honestly not surprised though, considering everything we talked about, the last 10 minutes. The Switch, their games are more in line with kind of gatherings, parties, friends, family, kids, and the Switch is a handheld, whereas PS5 and the Xbox variants are you gotta have a TV or something to plug them into, whereas the Switch, you can slap on those joysticks and just play it from the comfort of your own bed, or take them off and plug them into the dock and you have a straight up console. So
yeah,
that versatility. Hey,
yeah, I mean that's and it's part of Nintendo's kind of plan that they aren't trying to do the same thing as the Xbox and PlayStation, so they have that part of the market essentially to themselves.
Exactly. Although I'm wondering when Microsoft and PlayStation are going to wise up and maybe try to do something similar. We'll see. Couple other pieces about the whole Microsoft going kind of broad, so to speak. Basically, the Game Pass, and this is kind of from leaks and leaks, talks, speculation. The Game Pass is essentially considered unsustainable. It's not doing what Microsoft wanted it to do. It's not producing I'm going to even say revenue that they wanted to see, not even profits, just the revenue that they wanted to see.
That's interesting because that like the Game Pass, that's like what they were trying to make their next big thing.
Yes.
That was like that was the thing that Xbox had that no one else did, and they were putting a lot of effort into the Game Pass. So that news is actually it's definitely interesting news hearing that venture is not going as well as they planned.
Yeah. And here's another thing that might be surprising. When Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, that reputation went with it. And we all know the reputation we're talking about, that basically the shade that Activision Blizzard gets and is still continue to get, even though they're under new management, i.e. Microsoft. So I would imagine, I mean, it's probably not super significant, but I would imagine a lot of folks who had a beef with Activision Blizzard when it was standing on its own probably transfer that to Microsoft and say, you know what, I'm not even going there.
I don't think there was much to transfer because, I mean, just an opinion here, but I mean, Microsoft is just as predatory as Activision Blizzard ever was.
Oh, I agree. But again, that stain that I mean, Activision Blizzard is in the same league as EA, so that kind of stigma probably didn't endear anyone to Microsoft Blizzard. Sorry, I mean, it is Microsoft Blizzard, Microsoft Xbox at all. And so that might have, again, I'm not going to say it was a significant piece, but it definitely had something to do with it. Another thing is, and this is actually a kind of a negative. With Microsoft's potential push to broaden their reach of their games, there is no stopping them from actually buying up more studios now. Actually, as a matter of fact, the incentive would be there to buy up smaller studios with good IPs so that they can put them on PlayStation, the PlayStation Network. We can put them on the Nintendo ecosystem. I don't know what the Nintendo ecosystem is. It's like Nintendo Store or something. And if anyone knows what
the Nintendo eShop, that's what
Nintendo
they call
eShop.
it. Now, granted, there is an odd part when it comes to the Nintendo Switch when it comes to trying to port it over, which is because that they're not doing the same thing as the PlayStation and Xbox. It's actually a little harder to port your games over to the Switch as it is to try to port from Xbox to PlayStation or vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely.
The console's definitely built very differently, as well as the it being a lower powered machine. You'd have to there are probably a lot of games that would have to scale down like textures, models, effects, all this stuff, so that it could run properly on the Switch. Not that the Switch is a terrible console, because if you look at the Zelda games, those games look amazing and they run just fine.
Yeah, but it's a different hardware for sure than the Xbox S and X and S, excuse me, and the PlayStation 5. Absolutely different hardware across the board.
Yeah, so it's a bit more trouble to try to port it over there than it is to the to other places.
And one of the other big pieces is, since, again, in keeping with the discussion now, apparently there's even talks that Microsoft might try to go all digital with regards to the games. I mean, we've been seeing that push from basically the industry as a whole, the video game industry as a whole, going to the digital, all digital platforms and markets. But what is interesting is that there's now talks of ads for Game Pass. So, and also AI community managers, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, those seem like signs of what you were just talking about with the Game Pass's performance not being what they were expecting. They're looking to, introduce ads to get some more revenue, or the AI community managers, which I have no idea how those would even work. But looking to do that to cut costs from having to pay actual people to be community.
Could you imagine an AI with a band hammer?
I don't want to. Granted, there are automated systems already on lots of platforms that will that are very capable of banning you for certain things, but I don't know. Those systems always have their problems. Anyone who's been on Twitch or YouTube long enough probably knows what I'm talking about.
Get ready for it, because I mean that's the future. Is you don't own your games. I mean, that's you know, it's people have openly talked about this, and it's coming.
Yeah, well, when it comes to like all digital, it's not as bad as like a completely subscription based thing, because in a subscription based thing where you have access to, like, say, a library, like essentially a Netflix of games, yeah, you definitely don't own it then. When it comes to a digital platform, I mean, the best you can do is have external storage to store all the games you don't currently have downloaded onto your main machine, so that you can still have access to them the day those servers go down. Because if you don't have them downloaded the day those servers go down, you're done. Like, there's nothing you can do to recover those games.
I will say one thing. I had a Xbox 360, and when I had the Xbox 360, I had purchased several games and some media content on there. And I just went a couple weeks ago and bought the new S series. So I have something.
You did?
Yep, I did.
Huh. I didn't peg you as a console player.
Well, I haven't actually played a console in like 6 years, so that's the last time I played my Xbox 360. And so I decided the other day, just, you know, so we have something up in the living room game system. And, you know, once in a while I'll play on there. When I, you know, all the time I have. It's nice.
Greg has no time.
Here's the moral. The moral of the story is I logged into that thing for the first time in 6 years, and not all of the content. I'm pretty sure I'm missing stuff, but I mean, I haven't logged into that account in 6 years, and I logged in, and a lot of the content's still there. So,
are you talking about the stuff that was already downloaded onto the console?
No, this is a brand new console. It's okay, part
so
of my Microsoft account.
Okay, so they made that like compatible with your.
Yep.
Okay, okay, that's actually good. Like, honestly, so you could play like some of those old Xbox 360 games on the new one.
Yep.
That's actually good. That's because backwards compatibility, I think, is always an amazing thing to have with new consoles. Because honestly, that's a huge win for any console. It's like, hey, you know, you get this new console, you get all the new games that are coming out, but
indirectly
you can also still play your old stuff.
We're really talking about how that concept is potentially going to spread into the rest of the marketplace.
Yeah, well, okay, the Ubisoft exec that said that, he wasn't talking about digital games. He was talking mainly about subscription based, kind of like a Netflix of games. That's what he was talking about, which I can see those popping up, but I don't think they're ever going to fully take over to the point where what you see currently of just like digitally buying games, I don't see that ever going away.
No, me either. Honestly, I highly doubt that will be happening.
Yeah, because like like as things I've said before, the less accessible you make something, the more that promotes piracy. So I could very much see that if all of gaming did go in that direction of a subscription service and you can't own anything, I see piracy going way up.
It's a thing, and here's the reality behind the piracy piece: is the worse the situation is with piracy, the more incentive these companies have to raise the price of their material. really. Consumers going to pay for it one way or the other. You just might not be the one paying for your game. It might be 5 other people that are paying the extra $2 or $5 for their game.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I see as good for for just gaming industry in total. And I don't think it's ever gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna take over. It will have its place in the market, but I don't. I honestly don't see us just buying the games even digitally. I don't see that going anywhere.
We'll see who wins this argument in like 50 years. But I seriously, I see it. You really, somebody in chat, Garrus, I think, brought up the, if you back up a little bit, you look, let's just go back even 25 years, maybe a little longer. But at one point in time, the only way to get video games was to buy cartridges.
Yep.
There was no download. There was no no internet, whatever. You bought cartridges and you played cartridges. And from there, it went from the cartridges all the way up to like the first Nintendo and the Super Nintendo. Sega systems started with the cartridges. From there, you went into CDs.
Yep, with the PlayStation, I believe it was one of the first, if not the first one to use the CD.
And that was the way, that was the way for both consoles and PC for a long time.
PC started with floppy disks.
They did, absolutely. Well, actually, no, PC started with cartridges as well. Actually, cassette tapes. If you go all the way back to Commodore 64, actually had cassette tapes that you would use. You had a cassette tape player that you would purchase to hook up to your game, to your computer, PC. Basically. Yeah,
gotcha.
64-bit system. Can you imagine? Anyway, hey, I had one, and it was awesome. When I had it, I would beat my head against the wall today if that's all I had. But so you look at the how that has come along, the evolution of these machines, and I personally, I do believe that eventually we are going to go to an all digital piece, and you bet the piracy piece, all these other things. I mean, that's going to be hard coded into you don't own it. You can't download it. You can get a key, and the key will connect you to a server in which you can use to play your game. And if you don't have access, too bad. You don't get to play any games.
Here's the thing. We've already saw a console that did just what you're talking about, the Google Stadia, and that died.
Electric vehicles have been around for a long time. And look how that has transpired to be. And I'm not saying they're the thing now, but I mean they're actually a real thing now. Where you back up 20 years, there were no electric vehicles. That was a pipe dream special order thing where you could convert a vehicle over to electric power.
Ironically, also one of the things that's also become really, really big, that was kind of a pipe dream back in the day, 20 years ago, VR. I remember how many start and stop, periods VR had in the gaming industry, and now it's taken off.
Here's the thing about essentially streaming your games like that, and there are certain games where that just does not work on.
Yeah,
because when you stream your games like that, you're having to connect with the internet, essentially have the internet be a go-between for you, your inputs to the game, and the results of your inputs coming back to you. Things like, highly competitive games, like fighting games and stuff, where you got to be very precise with your timing and your inputs. You just can't do that with that type of like video game streaming. Like
can't do it now.
Fully, exactly. So it's never fully going to take off because it's just it's just a convenient way to try to play the game.
30 years ago, the most complicated games that were on a system, a game system, were Frogger and Autobahn.
I will say this, Matt. I agree with you up until the technology says otherwise. Once they fix that issue that you're talking about, it's not going to matter.
Well, here's the thing. That's more than just the technology of the console itself.
Well, yeah.
It's also the infrastructure of where you live.
Yeah.
Like, you would pretty much need everywhere to have, like, perfect internet in order for that to be something that would take over the entire market.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're in the city, the suburbs, or out in, like, the middle of bumfuck nowhere. And that's just not going to happen.
A lot can happen in 10 years, man.
I'm in bumfuck nowhere. What are you talking about?
Exactly. If that was the way all of gaming went, Greg, you'd be fucked. Like, you have a terrible
good internet.
Wow.
That there are lots of places in the middle of that. Like, some places may be lucky and have good infrastructure for good internet, but a lot of places don't. And because of that, there's always going to be that market of actually downloading your games. Like, sure, out there it may take a while to download the game, but once you got it, it's gonna run just fine. You're not gonna have to, like, for a single player game, having online connectivity so your single player game is lagging like hell. Like, I don't see that becoming the de facto future of gaming, because it relies on not just the gaming companies, but, like, internet service providers, like, everything working together to provide this service for everyone across the country, across everywhere. It pretty much require perfect internet for everyone everywhere, and that's never going to happen.
Oh man, Garrus, I was actually going to bring that up.
See, I definitely would not say never, Matt. Your ideas are based on existing circumstance right now, which, if you back up 20 years, existing circumstance right now, even in the U.S., especially in the U.S., are light years ahead of where we were, and continuing to go forward at a rapid pace. And I'm telling you, man, the idea of these places in the world that are, there's no connectivity and, bumfuck nowhere or whatever, they are. They're going to eventually go away. There won't be a spot on this planet that you cannot connect.
Old man Garrus puts it this pretty much on the nose. Internets across Asia and Europe, incredibly fast, cheap, and the coverage is pretty much everywhere. And Taiwan is a perfect example. The entire island is Wi-Fi capable. The entire island, and it works, and it works fast. The reason why the U.S. is behind is lobbyists, and now we're getting a bit of political stuff, but we're going to keep it short and sweet. Every internet service provider is looking to make the most money on the cheapest, piece of equipment. That's our problem here, or part of the problem, at least in my opinion. But Old Man Garrus says, perfect example is mobile phones. Outside of North America, everyone has a mobile, cheap, fast, full service, and compatible across multiple countries. Exactly right. Here in the U.S., locked by provider, limited access outside of your own country, and incredibly expensive. Absolutely. And the reason being is because you have a bunch of these companies who are basically looking to make the most money for the least amount of effort and at the cheapest price for them. That's what you have.
Yeah, our information in the United States actually is there's a lot of conversation out there, and you talk about other countries and how they control information. I'm sure there's places that are horrible.
Yeah.
But I can say this, a few years ago, my trip to Japan and back, it's incredible how much stuff you can access in Japan. I'll just put it that way. Most of it you probably don't want to access, but I mean,
yeah,
you can.
I have some friends who have traveled abroad and lived abroad, and I talk to them, and they're like, yeah, it's different. There's some things that you wouldn't even believe, and I can believe it. So, but yeah, oh man, Garrus, you're exactly right. Our infrastructure in terms of that aspect of daily life, in terms of just connectivity via the internet, is, considering we are considered a first world country, it's laughable when compared to a lot of other countries.
In some aspects, let's just be clear about that. In some,
some aspects, like America, like, not saying America's a shitty place, but it does have its issues.
No, I'm talking about, like, again, the connectivity, the internet, the providers, the speed, all that stuff. In some respects, we are light years ahead. In other respects, in terms of just, I would say, the general average, we're probably behind. Because again, you have too many internet service providers competing with each other. You have too many cell phone, again, using Old Man Garrus example, you have too many cell phone companies competing with each other. It just is what it is. Let's see. I travel to Peru on an annual basis. I have an unlocked Samsung, and when I land, I get a 30-day unlimited internet pass for $3 at 5G speeds, and the coverage covers when I cross into Brazil and Colombia.
He's getting his Italian on now. A little bit of that.
Try to get about the US. Forget about it. He's not wrong. He's not, obviously. Yeah.
Jersey Italian there.
You wouldn't be paying $3 for that. You'd be probably paying, upwards of a couple $100. Easy.
Infinity talking about the U.S. shitty internet service.
I mean, again, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. It is part of it's part of a number of problems that we have in terms of the technology piece. In certain, again, like you said, Greg, in certain respects. But welcome in, Infinity. Right. It's good to see you.
The point behind it is that it's continuing to grow rapidly.
Yes.
And there's a lot of, there's still a lot of investment in that type of infrastructure. I mean, I kind of wish that, we fix some roads and bridges, but hey, I'm good with internet too.
I want
we definitely fix some roads and bridges, man. But yeah, the U.S. has some work to do, and in the U.S.'s defense, it's a huge ass country.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge country, multiple states doing their own fucking thing. So it's a little hard.
I see that is, it's going to happen eventually, like, especially, I'll put it this way, older products, yeah, you still may be able to buy those like hard copy style, download to your computer. Older products, new products, probably what'll end up happening is it'll kind of like they used to do with movies. I mean, it would do its theater run before it went to any type of TV. Where nowadays, I mean, brand new releases, go on Amazon, you can watch it in day after it releases. You just got to pay your $20 or whatever it is. I can see that happening. Absolutely.
So basically what you're saying, Greg, is
once it's hit its peak, the peak of its life cycle, and is on that downward slide, you'll be able to buy it and have it on your computer, play it whenever you want to.
I can see that, and I do kind of agree to it to a certain extent. I do think, honestly, within the gaming industry, going digital is what's going to happen, whether we like it or not. That's probably what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, like I don't argue with that piece.
And with regards to the ownership piece, that's actually an interesting take, Greg, where you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sounding like you're saying that companies might have like a warehouse, a digital warehouse of games that they've put out, where they'll probably just send the digital version there, and you can, if you paid for it, you can just download off of that server or what have you.
Or buy it. I mean, here's the thing with it. That depends. It depends on the marketplace whether there's a quote unquote free option. And it's not going to be free because you're still going to have some form of subscription base. There may be clearance houses, there may be places out there where you can download those games, but they're unless they're pirated in some fashion, they're not going to be free.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah, you're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to pay for it. Somebody's going to pay for it. But I could very easily see like the new games coming out going to being behind a paywall, where you don't own it. That way they can exactly. They're gonna get the life cycle of that game behind the paywall, which is that's big money for them. And then once it hits its peak and starts coming down that backward slide, and you start people have moved on at this point. The new thing is out now, so I'm gonna go play that. Then you'll have the option to be able to buy that product, or buy a download of that product. I would bet on that.
I mean that kind of sounds in line with what we're seeing here, especially
at that point. Again, the developers in the game studio doesn't care if you own it, because I mean they've it's past its life cycle. It's an old product now. They're still making money off the sale. It's just where in the past it was sell the product first. Now it'll be you sell the product last. You make the sale last.
Nah, we wouldn't have banned you, Old Man Garrus, but you're not wrong, man. And just to kind of read some stuff in the chat, Infinity Core says
you're good, man.
We've
been distracted since about 5 minutes in, so I think you're
the whole thing that screwed us on the internet is that some greedy assholes were able to pull the wool over Congress's eyes and break up the only company that was helping to build the first internet and was in the best position to roll out facilities to support that. That's a rabbit hole that I will probably go down later. But I think I know what you're talking about there. And Old Man Garrus says, we've had this type of discussion before when Netflix first appeared and we were all used to the blockbusters in the world. Yeah, I remember those.
It is.
No one thought Netflix would survive. Then again, when Netflix said they were going digital and getting rid of the media rentals, you're not wrong. Can you actually rent like Blu-rays and stuff from Netflix anymore? Like, is that actually a service that they offer?
Because that was the first way that they started, where essentially they would kind of just mail you what you were renting instead of going into a place like you did with Blockbuster. That was their initial way that they did business. Where they really took off is after they switched gears to the to streaming.
Huh. Okay. Ian, welcome in, Duelist Kind. It's good to see you, buddy. So, okay, Infinity Core, you're talking about, again, the 1984 divestiture of AT&T. That was 4 years before I was born. But, so that makes sense.
Do you guys even know what Ma Bell is?
I do not.
I've heard that name before. Remind me, Greg.
Well, Ma Bell was, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Garrus. It's been a long time because that company's been dissolved for a very long time. AT&T used to be part of it. But Ma Bell was one of the largest conglomerates that was actually broken up by the antitrust laws in this country. They controlled, I think it was like 90% of telecommunications at one point in time across the entire United States.
Okay. I think I remember learning about this.
Graham Bell, that whole bit.
A long time ago.
Yeah, it's some of the big ones today were actually part of that conglomeration. When it was broken up, they sectioned it off into different parts of the country, and Illinois Bell is one of them. American Telegraph and Telephone. There's a few companies that were part of that that are now
kind of just broken up. Okay. Mm-hmm. AKA AT&T. Okay, so a lot of the phone companies we're seeing now were part of that conglomeration of Ma Bell.
Well, but that was communication at that point in time. I mean, the telephone company that was it. That's what you had. Everything was ran through that. Yeah.
Yeah. I again, that was 4 years before I was born, but I remember my mom talking about that, and my grandparents kind of talking about that.
Alexander who?
Alexander Graham Bell. yeah, that's kind of where that was going.
Wasn't he one of the Beastie Boys or something? I don't
know. Part of the Rolling Stones. What are you talking about, Greg?
Oh yeah.
There's not one company of the major telecoms that are not part of the Baby Bells. Yeah, that honestly that makes sense.
I remember the day that resolution was passed. I don't remember what day it actually was, but I remember it as in listening to people talk about, oh, hey, yeah, this Congress just passed this.
And again, you would think that, those antitrust laws mean something. But, I mean, looking at you, Microsoft again, and Amazon.
Well, I mean, how much power does the FTC still have? Because they tried to block the Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, but in the end, they weren't able to. How hard they may have tried, I mean, there's some speculation on that, but I don't know. At the end of the day, Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, despite not just the FTC here in America, but another organization over in the UK where it's essentially their equivalent of the FTC. There's some difference in their what they do, but it's
Bill Gates and
somewhat similar.
Mm-hmm. But so that's kind of the FTC still has power, maybe. But that is basically the situation over at Microsoft and regarding the kind of Xbox situation. Apparently, Phil Spencer is slated to come out with a update, as he put it. Tweeted about it, I believe sometime earlier today or a couple days ago. Because longtime supporters, and these are like streamers and kind of personalities that have built their brand around the Xbox exclusive, the Xbox brand itself, came out against this proposed broadening of and kind of loosening of the ties that kind of keep the Xbox exclusive strictly to the Game Pass. There are folks who are not happy about it. Primarily because it will make, at least in their mind and kind of their words, it'll make folks that have kind of built themselves up on the Xbox almost like second-class citizens, as Microsoft and the Xbox division definitely build up that wider audience piece. So not everyone is happy about that. Even the higher ups are not happy about kind of releasing their IPs to other ecosystems. So there's definitely still a back and forth, even at the upper echelons of the Xbox division.
I think we got Garrus charged up tonight. He's ready to go after monopolies, man.
I mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
I feel like we could spend a whole podcast talking about Tencent.
Yeah, we could talk all day about Tencent. And as far as I remember, Tencent is a Chinese company?
I believe so.
Chinese-based company. So we really got nothing to say about Tencent because we can't really do nothing over there. Monopolies, I'm pretty sure, are like staple for Chinese economy.
I mean, we can say a lot of things. Whether
is it going to matter?
Anything, that's the real question.
Let's see. Staples of the Chinese economy: monopolies, undercapitalization,
going to the lowest bidder,
over leveraging. I mean,
yeah. Yep. Yes. Yep. Pretty much, Garrus. Yeah. Yep. So let's see. Old Man Garrus said they tried and would have succeeded, but Sony's papers were leaked out, which made their case fall. Oh, I might have heard that, but I'm gonna have to go back and re-familiarize myself with that one, especially when it showed how Sony paid studios tens of millions not to go to market. Oh, yeah, that probably did not paint them in the best of light.
It did, because I get the concern of Microsoft owning so many huge studios and the concern of a monopoly there. But when it was coming from Sony's mouth, well, they're no better. Let's be honest.
Tencent, do they own Riot? Actually, that is a good question.
I wouldn't be surprised.
All I got.
Whoa! They own Epic Games too. I did not know that. Holy shit! I learned something. I learned something new today.
They own about 40% of Epic Games.
Epic Games. Okay, so they don't own Epic Games. They just own
a very large portion.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Tim Sweeney still owns 51% majority, and I'm guessing Tencent bought up the other 40. So the other 9% is probably split up amongst other folks. As for Riot Games, I am absolutely not surprised that they own Riot Games, primarily because games like Dota and Dota 2 and League of Legends and Valorant and all those other competitive games, like competitive gaming at that level is absolutely, that's a thing in Asian countries, especially China, Korea. That's like their thing. Like it's a job over there. To be a professional gamer, it's a fucking job. Like you put in 8 hours a day, you have managers, you go to the gym, you have a schedule. Like it's a thing. It's a fucking thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like honestly, Tencent has they're all over the gaming market. Like I like every time it's quite often when I'm like looking to news. Like when it regards like
they pop up somewhere.
X or Y company, then the name Tencent comes up. They're not a lot. I feel like not a lot of people really know about them just because they're kind of like behind the scenes, I guess. But they own a lot of the gaming market.
Oh, old man Garrett's apparently Streamlabs don't like it, but
Garrett's tried to post a link. Just looked like the Wikipedia article on Tencent.
I apologize, old man Garrett. We're gonna have to probably mess with Robot at some point. Not Robot. Streamlabs. That's my dog drinking water. I apologize if y'all can hear that. Okay. They bought them in 2015, huh? Back during the heyday of Riot Games. Now I would say they're probably. I mean, they are still popular, but not like they were back in the day. At least not. I don't think here in the U.S. But yeah, so we should expect some more news out of.
Go ahead and post your link, Gareth.
Yeah. We should expect more information about this whole situation in the coming weeks, and obviously we will be keeping you guys up to date as that stuff comes out. But wow. Some other news. So for those of you who are PC players, let's see. Clive, Valhalla Games Studio, Riot, Supercell. Wait, they own Grinding Gear Games too? What the? Wow.
I didn't know they had a part in From Software.
From Software as well. Ubisoft. Okay, Frontier. Wow.
I mean, as I said, they own a lot.
Now,
and these aren't small names either.
Yeah, Garrus, if you would be kind, post that link again because now I'm interested. Because Grinding Gear Games, I mean, I remember when they came out with Path of Exile. They own 80. Wow, holy shit!
80%. Goddamn.
Okay. Nightbot. Sorry, Garrus. We're figuring.
You know what? There's just. I think I can post links, so I'll find that wiki and just post it myself.
So they owe 80% of Grinding Gear Games. Wow, that's. I guess I can see why some of the things with Path of Exile has changed over the years. Because I remember when Path of Exile, and for those of you guys who don't know, Grinding Gear Games is a studio out of Australia, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're an Australian-based studio, and they came out with the ARPG called Path of Exile, which is a love child of Diablo 2. It's basically what Diablo 3 should have been, according to a lot of players.
It says they're founded
and
in New Zealand.
New Zealand. Okay, I figured it was either New Zealand or Australia. I couldn't remember which.
Yep.
So correction, they are an Australian, a New Zealand-based game studio. Started really small, I believe. Path of Exile was in like beta and early access in like 2009, 2010, around that time, or maybe a little later. It was around, I would say, between 2009 and 2012 is when it came out. I remember playing a really good game, still really popular, hugely popular. They're actually slated to come out with Path of Exile 2 soon. I don't know exactly when, maybe this year or next year, something like that. So we they own 80. Wow, they own 80%. Jesus. I'm gonna have to check this out now, because apparently this Tencent might be the reason why some of our beloved games are going to turn into shit. Leave it to the Chinese to fuck it up. Yeah, I did say that. That came out wrong.
Yeah, maybe a little. Don't take that one out of context.
Don't clip that shit, take it out of context. All right, you know exactly what the fuck I mean. It was meant to be a lot of Chinese companies. And here's the thing, for those of you who are paying attention, most people in China are not happy with some Chinese companies, just because they tend to not provide much value. They own the company that owns Wowhead too. At this point, it's better to say, what don't they own?
Yeah, pretty
Seems
much.
like they got their fingers in a lot of pies. Well, I shouldn't be surprised then. But yeah, monopolization and conglomerates are staple for the Chinese economic machine. So, and they got tons of money to throw around, so it's no surprise. But as I was saying, speaking of kind of that bit, and
well, wait, there's another
companies. Nope, go ahead.
Well, there's another piece into that discussion that we were talking about, with the kernel level pieces that are going into programming now.
Yeah.
So that I think that's worth mentioning, that when it comes to how to control a potential means that's being developed to control piracy and to control your ability when it comes to being able to download these games.
Yep. All right, so for those of you guys who haven't kind of heard or been kind of keeping up, there are quite a few games that have come out. Actually, there's a number. Hold on, where is it? I'm actually going to post this for you guys to take a look at in the chat. It was very eye-opening. Manila Bear, thank you very much for the Prime sub. Very good. 2 months, much appreciated. So yeah, games that have kind of come out over I'd say the last 10 years or so. A lot of them are coming out with, and these are mostly geared towards like competitive games, but anti-cheat software. And for those of you guys who don't know, ironically enough, we were talking about Riot Games. Riot Games is one of those companies that are kind of using a kind of anti-cheat software that's slated to come out within the next few months for League of Legends. Found a post on Reddit. Basically, the concern is for these anti-cheat games. I mean, you've seen them. I've seen it in Conan Exiles. I used to play that for a little bit. The reason why there's such a concern for that is because most of these anti-cheat softwares are kernel level access to your computer. And for those of you who know computers and hardware, basically that's as deep as you can go.
Yeah, it's going really far into like
That
the
means they have complete,
system.
or rather, they could have complete, and in a way, do have complete access to your system at that level.
Which for obvious reasons rubs a lot
That's
of
the problem.
people the wrong way. Like, I don't know if they're doing anything with that level of access in their anti-cheating software, but there's just the normal privacy concerns that arise when you just wanted to play a game and all of a sudden they have the ability to go that far into your system.
Well, you can trust them, right? I mean, they would never do anything nefarious. I mean,
yeah. I mean, here's the thing: whether or not they do anything with that or not, it'd be the same as like giving a stranger the key to the bank vault and be like, okay, here
but it's
you go.
A trustworthy stranger, right?
Yeah, trustworthy just as much as I trust, the Riot Games or anyone else that I buy games from.
Well, it's ironic that we were talking about Tencent and how many games that they have in kind of, a stake in. Now, my question to you guys is how many, and the link I just posted, for everyone in the chat, I posted that up there. Hold on. Apparently, Garrus is still banned on Twitch. If Greg or Matt, you guys,
Streamlabs banned?
I think Streamlabs.
Oh, he got timed out for 600 seconds. I guess that's. Oof.
Hold on a second.
Oh, okay. Me and Garrus are friends on Discord, so he's sending me some information. Now, my question to you, to the audience, and just in general, with Tencent having as many fingers and as many pies as we've seen in the link that Old Man Garrus put up, link that to the link that I just posted about games and anti-cheat software. How many of those games line up? It's a question.
It's definitely according. I'm going to say that I'd say that it would be speculation that they're actually using that to get information off your computer, because we can't prove that. But it is also a possibility.
I'd argue it's a safe bet.
Yeah, I'm not denying the possibility.
But Old Man Garrus says he sent this message to me. He says Tencent has basically the kernel level anti-cheat software loaded into their software already. So that's like already staple. And Tencent is also the creator and developer of WeChat, the primary tool for payments, calls, and messaging in China. Oh boy. I'm pretty sure that's no surprise there. And yes, Old Man Garrus, you are back. Your access has been reinstated. Apologies for that one. But yeah, I'm not even surprised at this after that kind of revelation. And again, for those of you who have not clicked that link, just to give you an idea, over 324 games that we play, and some of them are things like League of Legends, Call of Duty. These are high profile games. I mean, Riot Games, League of Legends by itself has 150 million monthly users. By itself, 150 million monthly users.
Don't worry, Garrus. He treats me that way too.
He does. 150 monthly users from Riot, from League of Legends by themselves has and again, this kernel level anti-cheat software is being rolled out into the game, but no one's talking about that. That's wild. I don't know about you guys. I used to play League of Legends. I was thinking of getting back into it. I ain't doing that shit now.
That's yourself.
I ain't doing that shit now. And granted, I'm pretty sure I have, because I looked at the list. I know I have games that have that stuff on there already. So it's not like I'm doing myself like I'm protecting myself if I don't. But it's just really eye opening, the things that we're kind of as consumers allowing into the most private places that we have. Like everyone's computer has so much information on them. So, oh boy.
I mean, that's not the only place. I mean, like your smartphone is technically
your smartphone,
always
yeah,
to you. Like
your smartphone, your lap, your computers. Grimwolfen says League players deserve to have some built-in malware. Do you have a gripe against League of Legends, Grimwolfen? Is there something you need to get off your chest, bud?
I'll think these are right. But look, League of Legends community has a reputation, so
they do. They really do. It's not a good one. But yeah, I used to play really heavily. Actually, Manila Bear and myself we used to play together years and years ago. Yeah, we have some stories of some interesting individuals.
We've got
from the League of Legends community.
We do have a little bit of kind of Hasbro chat for tonight, don't we?
We do actually.
It's D&D related.
It is D&D related. Apparently, according to some folks, Matt Mercer, and who you guys all should know. I mean, his name at this point is pretty fucking famous. Yes, that is you, Manila Bear. Matt Mercer, who is the host of Critical Role, the famous D&D channel, one of the owners, I want to say, of Darrington Press, Candela Obscura, that whole bit. He's that guy.
Darrington Press, what's that?
Darrington Press is a company that he is part of. I don't believe he is the CEO, but I know he is part of him.
It tries to make things they want to call games.
Yeah.
Oh, that's harsh. Damn, Greg. Came out swinging.
Matt Mercer's creative advisor
for Darrington Press. Okay, so he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the owners as well. I know him. Travis Willingham, if I'm pronouncing his. I know Travis Willingham is the CEO. There's a couple. Basically, it's Darrington Press is made up of a few folks from the Critical Role show. Some of the guys from the cast and stuff like that came together and put together their own studio, essentially. Came out with 2 IPs, Candela Obscura, which was not well received. We actually did a breakdown of that a few episodes ago, and it was one of the last episodes of 2023 that we did. And their other one, which is more of the fantasy side of things, is Daggerheart. I have not played that yet. That has not been. I don't want to say it's. I don't think it's been fully released yet. I know, Greg, when you went to Gen Con, you saw a couple of things regarding Daggerheart.
Yeah, there was just a little bit of advertisement. I didn't actually, but I explained that when I went to the So
when Greg went to Gen Con this past year, he was working in conjunction with Arts Alsorian, so he didn't get a lot of time to himself to check that stuff out.
And to be honest with you, from what I did see of Darrington Press's, their presence was not impressive. So
no. Well, so Matt Mercer and a gentleman by the name of Matthew Colville, who is the creator of MCDM, I believe that is the name of that game. Give me 1 second. There are a lot of different games coming out. Is it MCDM? Where are my notes?
Yeah, MCDM.
Yes. Yeah, MCDM, which is his take on basically D&D. And that is something that I want to be clear on. A lot of these games, at least from a cursory standpoint, while there are significant differences, are these third party or these indie studios answer to D&D and Dungeons and Dragons kind of monopoly on the TTRPG space. So Daggerheart is Darrington Press, own kind of D&D. MCDM is Matthew Colville's and his studios, D&D. I mean, there's a number of them that have come out in the wake of the OGL that happened in January of 2023. There's basically speculation and allegations that because of these two gentlemen, D&D is dying. Now,
granted, that was a particular take from a particular person.
Has
correct?
anyone told them that yet?
What Matthew said is correct, that that was a particular take from a particular individual. And here's the thing with that particular statement: it's not necessarily untrue in a way. D&D is not dying; it's not going anywhere anytime soon. However, yeah, it's a Grimwolf, and you're exactly right. It's more popular than ever before. However, with the OGL situation, let's just say they've taken a couple of hits over the last year and some change. They're still continue to take some hits. That's why they've laid off a bunch of people. I think what is happening is not necessarily that D&D is dying, is that D&D is starting to have competition. And I use the term very, very loosely about competition because, I mean, again, Candela Obscura was not very well received, and I have not played MCDM yet. I am going to do my best to get my hands on like a quick start piece and potentially do a one shot here on the show. But from what I've heard, mixed reviews. So yeah, every industry is laying off folks. Again, I think we've talked about that here. Kind of the economic bubble is as Greg put it, it's bursting. It's coming to MCDM. Old Man Garrus, Matthew Colville's system that he's creating. So, and I don't know, Old Man Garrus, if you've got any exposure to Candela Obscura, which is Darrington Press's. I want to say their Eldritch Horror something. It's akin to Call of Cthulhu. Candela Obscura is their game. So that one was not well received by quite a bit of the community. Yes, it is based on Blades in the Dark, which I will say that, because this has been kind of brought up before by a couple of individuals where they were saying Candela Obscura was kind of ripping off Blades in the Dark. Candela Obscura, despite what you may think of it, they do give credit to Blades in the Dark as being an inspiration, so they're not ripping them off. They openly admitted that Blades in the Dark inspired them to put together that particular system. So, but yeah, it wasn't well received. They did, exactly. And again, a lot of these takes are very much
that is one thing I do have to say, about Darrington Press and about Candela Obscura. They're very good about giving credit to the contributors. I mean, that is there. It's there. They're very good about giving credit to the contributors to their product. And
I will not name names, Grimwolfen, only because I don't want these people to get hate. Not that I expect any of you guys to do that. Will Whedon, oh boy, that's a kettle of worms.
It came from a notable person who had written some books and stuff. But it's honestly, it's a terrible take because if people are leaving D&D, then that's I'm ready to do this. Grim out here sharpening his pitchfork as we speak.
I love your attitude, man. Get that pitchfork ready.
I gotta throw this out there. One of the reasons why we do what we do, and we're not shy or bashful about picking on any of these companies. And it's just simply because, it's why be afraid of that? Why be afraid of the trolls? If you feel strongly enough against anything, any opinion, any thought, anything that we're expressing on this, then vocalize that for sure.
Yeah. Let us know.
And I'll warn you now, if you become a problem, I will kick you out.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all about civil discussion. You know, people can disagree and have civil discussion, and that if that's how any of you feel, then you can disagree with us. Just keep it civil, and we'll engage in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think all three of us one of the reasons why we do what we do with the update log is to have those open dialogues.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like honestly, the trying to blame Matt Mercer, Matt Colville for trying to kill D&D. I don't know. It's a stupid idea because D&D should not be. Honestly, D&D shouldn't have such a stranglehold on the TTRPG community that it does. Like, it's a good thing that other games exist to have other spaces in the community. It doesn't have to be all about D&D. Now, granted, the D&D community, I'm going to say the community, not the wizards running the game, but the community has done a lot of good. They're very active community. They're very passionate. They make their own content for the game. It's honestly amazing the community that D&D has. So I guess the person who made that take is concerned about, I guess, Matt Mercer, Matt Colville taking people from that community.
Yeah. And here's the thing. That take is, while slightly disingenuous and mostly untrue, there is a nugget of truth in there. In that D&D is, again, it's more popular than it's ever been. It's more accessible. Duel's kind, exactly that. It's easily marketable. The gameplay standpoint, I will disagree to a point. D&D is very crunchy, and what I mean by that, there's a lot that goes into playing the game, but in terms of accessibility, yeah, I mean, it's easy to pick up and find the player's handbook and find people ready and willing to play. Absolutely on point with that. But it's dying in the sense that folks are pulling away to other systems or creating other systems because of the decisions not necessarily made by, like, in terms of D&D itself, but made by the executives at Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. That, in the sense, is true to a degree. But is the game losing popularity?
No, it's not. The community isn't. It's not even dying. Let's be clear. It's
not. The communities are vibrant. It's thriving. There's homebrew stuff coming out right now as we speak. There's homebrew stuff coming out right now.
Matt Mercer couldn't kill D&D even if he tried. Let's be real about that.
Though I will say this.
There's a lot of people out there that want to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not even a lot, but there are people out there who want to. They want to see the legacy product go down. And whatever, everybody to each their own.
Yeah. Everybody's got their gripe. It is the least country of all the TTRPGs. Most of them, I would say. I think 5e is the least country of all of the editions, maybe with the exception of 4th edition. But that one has its own problems. And Grimwolfen.
What did you just say? You said something bad there, didn't you?
I did.
It goes from 3.5 to 5. There is no.
There's no
4th edition you speak of.
Yeah. So, ironically enough, Matt Colville actually does like 4th edition. So
interesting.
That's why people are throwing his name out there and saying he's trying to kill D&D.
Yeah. Do with that what you will.
Now there are people who like 4th edition. I don't know any of them personally, but
Me either. I am not one of them. So in Grimwolfen, yeah, tabletop aside, Baldur's Gate did. I would say Baldur's Gate did phenomenally well, not just pretty well. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong. And Old Man Gare says, I believe Alfred said it best. Some men aren't looking for anything logical. Some men just want to watch the world burn. That is very true. That is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're so pretty to look at.
The thing in there that I think is worth mentioning, and there are a lot of really good alternatives for fantasy settings that are out there.
Yes.
And like you said, more and more coming every day. It's a good target out there that people create content that is either adaptable, playable with, even with the OGL piece to it, or just a different take on the Dungeons and Dragons universe. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna, I'll do a little shameless drop here for Free League and talk a little bit about Dragonsbane, which is a D&D style game. We're gonna do a one shot of it at least.
We are, yes.
So
it's on the list.
Yep. Yeah, we did a video with Tomas Hernston from Free League Press, and we talked about Dragonsbane a bit there. Another really good game in kind of that fantasy genre is Symbaroum. We had Matthias Johnson, who was the creator of that. Again, Free League under Free League Press. We're also going to do a Walking Dead playthrough soon. Greg's been chomping at the bit for that one. Speaking of, that's actually a good segue. Matt, when are we going to do our Mutant Year Zero playthrough? Do a little bit of housekeeping right now.
Yeah. So I know I'm reading up on the Mutant Year Zero rulebook. Honestly, it's very similar to Alien that we played. Both being made using the Year Zero engine. So I think it'll be relatively easy for everyone to kind of learn and get in. Learning how to play the game.
We are.
Honestly, I've been liking what I've been reading of it so far. Alien was fun. I did have some gripes with it though, but Mutant Year Zero has some of the same systems, but handles certain key things a little differently in a way that I think is a little better, in my opinion. Obviously, a very different world, and everyone's mutants, and has an interesting kind of exploration-based system about like kind of filling out an entire map, discovering places. Yeah. It's interesting. Naturally, we won't really get into some of that when it comes to a you wake up, take a stress. That is
that's Aliens in a nutshell. You turn left, take a stress. Especially when you have Greg as your DM. Like we were just standing there breathing, and we were getting stressed out.
Well, you were breathing hard. What was I supposed to
do? Your cafeteria lunch doesn't taste as good as you were hoping.
That can be really stressful because who knows where that shit came from.
Breathe
they
quieter.
Had mashed potatoes instead of French fries. Take stress.
Breathe quieter, especially when you play at Aliens, man. Jesus. Sneeze and you're stressed. Stare too long in one direction, you get stressed.
So we have the Mutant Year Zero piece coming up next week?
That's the plan.
Next week. Okay, so hey, definitely join us for that. And Matt is going to be running it, and we are going to be giving him as much shit as we. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
And yeah, Grimwolfen. So and the rest of the audience. So for those of you who don't know, Mutant Year Zero is, I want to say it was Free League Press's first game, right?
Was it
one of the
Mutant Year Zero? Yeah, it was one of them. Well, Symbaroum was like the first one.
Okay.
and Mutant Year Zero is actually a different take on a previous Swedish game called Mutant.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. There we go. It is going to be next Thursday, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay, so that Old Man Garrus, to answer your question, that is the 15th. Wow, we're gonna actually have episode 39 on my birthday. Huh. Interesting. Maybe I'll take the day off. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're gonna have the update log next Wednesday.
He takes the day off and we roast him. That's how that works.
Damn. I can't turn my back. What's that?
We don't talk about games. We don't talk about any of that stuff. We just spend an hour and a half roasting Rob.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. That's what I can expect. Okay. So Mutant Year Zero was their first game. Okay. Thank you, Old Man Garrus.
Oh, it was.
Followed
okay.
by Coriolis. Okay. And yeah. So again, and then Mutant Year Zero is a adaptation, or I'll say an adaptation off of a Swedish game called Mutant. It was their reimagining, and it's been well received, both in Europe and over here in the States. Free League Press is a European based gaming company with a huge following over in Europe. They're starting to find some traction here in the States, but all of their stuff is you guys skip my birthday for the roast. Damn, no love, nothing. But yeah, they are.
We
very,
love
very
you, Shadow
well
Riddlebox.
Yeah, they are very well received.
Even if he doesn't.
Wow, no love. Can't turn my back on you assholes for a second.
Never.
That's fine though. I can live with that. But yeah, Vaesen, we will be doing that soon. I am trying to get one of the creators on the show.
Twilight.
I'll have to reach back out to her. Actually, what Twilight? Is there? Are you talking about the books Twilight? There's a TTRPG based off of the books.
I haven't actually looked at that one yet, so
if there is,
sure.
We're never playing it.
Wait, Twilight 2000. That looks like a really cool system. We have not, or a really cool game universe. We have not. That's on the list. On the list. For sure.
We need to actually
hopefully we'll get
list,
to it
right?
sometime this year.
They just
we need to actually make a list.
Man, they Free League just released their 2024 catalog, and and we have such a backlog of games to do now that it's like, oh my god, and more on there, and we're excited to do it. We're excited to do all of them, but it's obviously time is a little bit limited, so we got to take them one at a time, and we got to learn each system as we go too. So we have not played all their games.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mutant Year Zero, Twilight, definitely The Walking Dead, all of them. Symborum.
One Ring, yeah. We've also had our eyes on that one.
That one is definitely one I really want to play. We actually have. We have the material, and I've read through it a bit. Again, it's just learning all these systems takes a little time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the goal should be get through a good number of the games on the list within this year.
Yes.
Speedrunning them is a little it's a little tough.
This Blade Runner Old Man Garrus is definitely one I definitely 100% want to read. It's one of my favorite movies.
They have so many titles that are things that we just love that it's it's hard to decide. Okay, what's going to be
next,
right?
Yeah, they're good. Again, for those of you who have not looked into Free League Press, please, Matt, if you would drop a link to their website. They are absolutely fantastic folks. We've sat down and talked with a number of them. Oz Mills, Matthias Johansson, Tomas. We sat down and talked with Luke Stratton, who, Luke, if you're listening, would love to have you back on the show because he is just starting now another Kickstarter for. Hold on, let me pull it up. Basically for an expansion piece, I believe, to his game Pirateborg, which is based off of the system Morkborg.
You mean we might have to play Pirateborg again? Oh darn.
Okay, yeah, the Dark Caribbean. So he is. It hasn't started. It hasn't come out yet, but it is a campaign setting for Pirateborg, OSE, and 5e, and it is slated to come out in 2024. So sometime this year, the Dark Caribbean, which is going to be an expansion piece to Pirateborg, and I'll actually drop a link to the Kickstarter here in the chat.
Yeah, and Pirateborg, which is based off of Morkborg, is a very rules light system, so it's super easy to like pick up and kind of get into.
Chicken, man.
Yeah, and you can be a chicken. Don't forget about that. You can be a chicken.
Yep. That is his profile there. Please, guys, go support him. He is a great guy. He was actually one of the first folks that we had on the update log to talk about his game, and we did a playthrough with him of Pirateborg,
which was a lot of fun.
Which is absolutely phenomenal. It was really, really fun. With that said, Greg, what do we have coming out tomorrow?
Tomorrow we have Season 2, Episode 2 of the BOR, our Cyberpunk stream. So we'll be doing that tomorrow evening. And it'll be interesting because we're going to do a little... Last week, Episode 1 was... Well, you know what? Show up tomorrow, watch the stream. You'll get to see just exactly how messed up some of it can be. I'll put it that way. It'll be interesting. We get to see some really interesting things going on. Learn a little bit about some of the characters, Scotty in particular, and go from there. Yeah.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Very excited to get that going tomorrow night for Episode 2. And then we'll see what happens the week after. We have the Mutant stream, and we'll see maybe Episode 3 after that, or we might roll into... I don't want to do like 2 one-shots back-to-back, but we'll try and start knocking some of these out. Picking on Scotty? No, I would never pick on Scotty.
Scotty never did nothing wrong.
That's a lie. That is a lie. Holy cow.
No more than anyone else in the group.
Yeah, fair.
Well, maybe, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's an easy statement to make.
Yeah, I mean...
All innocent, yes. So... And to add in here, to the kind of following in with the whole death of D&D thing, GaryCon 2024, which is the 50th anniversary of D&D. That's this year, is coming up here in March. And there's actually going to be 2 events. One special event the weekend before GaryCon is to celebrate the life and works of Gary Gygax, which is one of the founding creators of D&D, and one of the founders of TSR, the original company that published D&D. So that'll be happening the weekend before GaryCon, and the weekend of GaryCon is GaryCon. And actually, I believe the attendance this year is the highest it has been, and it's I think they're in their 7th or 8th year now. But anyway, it'll be the first year that I am physically at GaryCon, and we are going to be repping Artel Saurian. So we have developed a special run-through 4-part series of Cyberpunk, specifically for the convention. So live play, and I'll be running that personally. And we also are going to be running we're going to be running a one-shot, but we're going to do it 4 times of The Witcher. Right, and that'll be in the evenings, so 2 games a day.
I will be running those. virtually, and Matt will be running some Cyberpunk stuff virtually. So if you can't make it, you will still be able to sit down with one of us and have a good time. But do try to make it. It's going to be really cool. Again, we are partnered with Artal Sorin on that one. There will be some swag there for folks who show up.
Yes,
there might be some virtual stuff as well, but that remains to be seen.
We'll figure it out. We'll get some virtual stuff. So people who want to join us for games online, we'll figure something out.
Yep.
Maybe get you a free copy of Cyberpunk or The Witcher.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe some of their expansion stuff like Black Chrome. I'm still holding out hope that they'll have more on the 2077 Edge Runner kit come GaryCon, but it might not happen.
We'll see.
That's the word.
I'm holding out hope.
Yeah, the word I'm getting is no, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no. So we'll see. But I know. That said, that is it for episode 38 of the update log, guys. Again, Xbox and Microsoft and they're all shenanigans, and just the gaming industry in general is definitely in a time of flux. A lot of things are changing, hopefully for the better. But I think we'll have to wait and see. I mean, 2023 was definitely a rough year, especially the latter half. So, I think we're still feeling some residual effects of that. And hopefully 2024 will smooth out a little bit and we'll start to see some improvement in some areas. But with that said, guys, thank you as always for joining us here at the Update Log. You guys are part of why we do this. The other part is just because we love the industry. We want to see it get better. We want to see just people put out some great stuff. So that's why we report on what we report on. But you guys are definitely the other half of that. With that said, Greg, if you will start the raid.
That I will, and I think we're going to support Stormy D tonight. And actually, I will be a guest on Stormy D's show coming up here towards the end of February. So we're going to jump over and see what they are doing. I think they're playing a game tonight, but we'll go check it out. Please do show Stormy and his community some love tonight, if you will. If you are not already following them, then please do. They're good folks. Otherwise, we're going to get this thing rolling. I am horrible with this timing of the raid thing, so bear with me.
That's why I reminded you earlier.
Yeah.
Even with a reminder, I still, hey, if it can be screwed up, I'm game. Just call me. All right.
But yeah, guys, thank you again for coming in. You guys have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow for the BRR season.